What happens when love and loyalty collide? In this heart-wrenching episode of Emmerdale, Dawn faces the toughest decision of her life. Choose between the man she loves, Billy, and the one who holds her past, Joe. Will her choice tear her apart or bring her peace? Stay tuned to witness the emotional turmoil and find out which path she will take. You won't want to miss this pivotal moment. Dawn Fletcher chooses Joe Tate over Billy in Emmerdale's most emotional love triangle yet, but at what cost? If you've been glued to Emmerdale lately, then you know we've hit a boiling point in one of the most emotionally charged storylines the show has served up in a long while. And let's be honest, Dawn Fletcher has been walking a tightrope between two very different men, two very different lives, and now she's made her choice. But before we dive into what this means for Billy, for Joe, and most of all for Dawn, it's worth unpacking how we got to this heartbreaking, soul-tugging moment that has everyone in the Dales talking. Torn between comfort and passion, for weeks now viewers have watched Dawn Fletcher try to hold it all together. On the surface, she had everything she thought she wanted: a stable marriage to Billy, a home full of noisy but loving kids, and the respect of those around her. But deep down, something had shifted. Enter Joe Tate. His reappearance wasn't just a blast from the past, it was the match that lit a fire Dawn thought she had long since extinguished. Their chemistry was undeniable. The longing glances, the stolen moments, the way she could laugh around him even when her world was falling apart, it was all too much. And it wasn't just harmless flirting. It became something real, something dangerous, something she couldn't ignore. To make things even more scandalous, their affair was happening under Billy's nose and under the same roof. Joe lays it all on the line. Earlier this week, Joe told Dawn exactly what he wanted: a real relationship, no more secrets, no more sneaking around. He wanted her, properly, completely, and forever. But Joe didn't just want Dawn, he wanted the whole messy, beautiful package: kids, chaos, complicated history, and all. A bold declaration? Absolutely, but was it enough to pull Dawn away from the life she had built? Well, tonight's episode gave us our answer, and it wasn't without heartbreak. A mother's chaos, a wife's guilt. The episode opened with Dawn doing what she always does, trying to keep the peace. She broke up an argument between the kids while clearly holding back a storm of emotion inside. Meanwhile, Kim Tate, never one to mince words, warned Joe that Dawn comes as a package deal, and a messy one at that. Ouch, but also, not entirely wrong. Later, Kim and Dawn quietly watched Billy being the ever-loving father figure. He was so good with the kids. Patient, kind, present. When Billy suggested a family day out for the four of them, you could almost feel the hope radiating from him. But Dawn? She turned him down, claiming she was too busy. She wasn't busy, she was breaking. Dawn found herself in the garden gazebo, scrolling through photos of her family, moments that once felt whole, now just fragments of a life slipping away. She cried, alone, overwhelmed, and silently grieving the life she was about to destroy. A shoulder to cry on, and a push she needed. Just then, Minpreet Sharma showed up like a soft, understanding breeze in the storm. She invited Dawn in for some brandy and, completely unaware of the affair, offered some much-needed advice. Do something selfish, just for you. Not for the kids, not for Billy you. For Dawn, that selfish choice was also the scariest one. She knew exactly what she had to do. I choose you, but at what price? Dawn met Joe in the woods, and there was a shift in her. You could see it in her eyes, nervous, vulnerable, but also ready. I don't know if you're serious, she said, her voice trembling. You're not going to change your mind in 3 months. You just ran off to Chicago. I need to know I can rely on you, that this is not some whim. And wow, can we just say bravo, Emmerdale writers? Because that moment, that was real. How many of us have stood at that emotional cliff edge, wondering if we should leap into something terrifying just for the hope of something better? Joe didn't flinch. He told her she made him happy, that he didn't care about her past, that he was all in. And then they kissed. Dawn had made her choice. Secrets still linger. But of course, nothing in the Dales is ever simple. As the two embraced, Dawn noticed a wound on Joe's chest. A bandage cut he brushed off as a shower accident from his time in Chicago. He claimed he didn't want to worry her. And here's where things get really murky. We already know Joe is tangled in some shady business, especially that dark little secret about a kidney plot. Yes, you read that right. Dawn doesn't know about it yet, but when she does, oh, there's going to be fireworks. I don't love Billy anymore. Back in the woods, Dawn opened her heart even further. She confessed she didn't love Billy anymore, that she was going to come clean, that she couldn't live a lie. Joe, ever the romantic realist, warned her that all hell is gonna break loose. But still he insisted. As long as they had each other, that's all that mattered. Can we take a second here to breathe? Because damn, that line hit like a punch to the gut. What happens next? The fallout from this love triangle is only just beginning. Next week promises to bring the storm that Dawn's been dreading, the truth. Billy, loyal and loving, is about to have his heart shattered. The kids, who've been watching and loving both men, are about to be caught in the emotional crossfire. And Joe? He's walking a tightrope of his own, especially once that whole kidney scheme comes to light. Because let's be real, you can't build a life on half-truths, even if it starts with love. Why Dawn's story resonates so deeply. Dawn Fletcher isn't just a character. For many viewers, she represents the emotional tug-of-war that so many women experience in silence. She's a mother, a partner, a woman with a complicated past and a chaotic present. She's trying to hold everything together while pieces fall apart around her. She's torn between duty and desire, between what's safe and what feels right. Her affair with Joe might be controversial, but it's also achingly human. She's not perfect. None of us are. And that's what makes her story so heartbreakingly relatable. Final thoughts. Love, lies, and the road ahead. Tonight's Emmerdale episode didn't just deliver drama, it delivered truth. And while we're thrilled that Dawn finally found the courage to follow her heart, we can't help but fear what's around the corner. Because secrets have a way of surfacing, and love, well, it can only survive if it's built on something real. So now we wait. Will Billy forgive her? Will Joe be exposed? And most importantly, will Dawn be able to live with the choice she's made? One thing's for sure, the Dales will never be the same again. Want more emotional Emmerdale recaps, spoilers, and behind-the-scenes drama? Hit that subscribe button and don't miss a single twist. Because if this week taught us anything, it's that love in the village is never simple and always worth watching.